Good morning, MacLaren. My name is Miss Cassell. Today I want to talk to you about Lou Gehrig. I'm a huge sports fan, particularly for New York, and so it was difficult for me to accept that sports were not going to look the same this year. That is why I wanted to bring a little bit of sports nostalgia to us and tell you about this New York Yankees baseball legend who had an impact on not only the baseball community, but also the nation. Most people have heard of Babe Ruth, even if they're not sure who he is or why he's a legend. Babe Ruth was an excellent baseball player, and that is probably an understatement. But he also commanded attention with his outgoing personality and charisma, in direct opposition to Lou Gehrig, who possessed a quiet and reserved demeanor. Unlike a lot of athletes today, Gehrig was known for simply getting the job done, and doing it well, without the desire for attention. So, even though Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth played on the same team at the same time, Lou Gehrig was often in Babe Ruth's shadow. And despite playing 2,130 consecutive games for the Yankees, a record only to be broken later by Cal Ripken Jr., scoring over 100 runs in his 13 seasons, and leading the record for home runs, Babe still held the spotlight. This is not to bash Babe Ruth. I have a great respect for such an athlete. This is simply to note that throughout Lou Gehrig's career, he played extraordinarily well, but with great humility and no desire to become an icon. He played because he loved the game, and he played well. Now, what is so notable about Lou Gehrig besides the fact that he was an incredible baseball player? Well, in Lou's 14th season of playing first baseman and serving as captain of the New York Yankees, his performance began to decline. It was not your average athlete's plateau in his career. Rather, Lou was missing simple plays. He was feeling physically off, and it showed. On May 2nd, 1939, Gehrig resigned himself from the starting lineup. He underwent several tests to figure out why he was experiencing this fatigue and weak feeling in his body. Finally, the diagnosis. The doctors told Lou that he had something called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as ALS. ALS is a neurodegenerative neuromuscular disease resulting in the loss of motor neurons that control the voluntary muscles. And there was no cure. So, what did this mean? Lou could no longer play baseball. This was a devastating blow to Lou, his family, and the baseball community. When his team and manager found out, they decided Lou deserved to be honored. So, on Tuesday, July 4th, 1939, in honor of his jersey number 4, the Yankees inaugurated Lou Gehrig Appreciation Day at Yankee Stadium. His manager, Joe McCarthy, spoke at the ceremony and fought back tears as he honored the man that he grew to love and respect as a dear friend. And although Lou was such a quiet person, the crowd chanted for Lou, calling for him to say something. In what later became known as baseball's Gettysburg Address, Lou gave one of the best farewell speeches in sports history. Unfortunately, only 4 sentences of his speech are on tape. However, we have the written form today.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. When you look around, wouldn't you consider it privilege to associate yourself with such a fine-looking man as is standing in uniform in this ballpark today? That I might have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for. Thank you.
He went on to say, quote, "Sure, I'm lucky. Who wouldn't consider it an honor to have known Jacob Ruppert? Also the builder of baseball's greatest empire, Ed Barrow. To have spent 6 years that wonderful little fellow, Miller Huggins. Then to have spent the next 9 years with that outstanding leader, that smart student of psychology, the best manager in baseball today, Joe McCarthy. Sure, I'm lucky. When the New York Giants, a team you would give your right arm to beat, and vice versa, sends you a gift, that's something. When everybody down to the groundskeepers and those boys in white coats remember you with trophies, that's something. When you have a wonderful mother-in-law who takes sides with you and squabbles with her own daughter, that's something. When you have a father and a mother who work all their lives so you can have an education and build your body, it's a blessing. When you have a wife who has been a tower of strength and shown more courage than you dreamed existed, that's the finest I know. So I close in saying that I might have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for. End quote. Even though Lou Gehrig's career, his passion, had ended, he chose to use that moment to put the spotlight on others and express his gratitude for everything his loved ones had done for him. I think this is something to be truly admired. Lou's jersey number 4 was the first jersey to be retired in Major League Baseball's history, and he became the youngest man to be inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame on December 7, 1939. Even though he was no longer playing, he seemed to still be breaking records. Lou Gehrig passed away on June 2, 1941. Gehrig's fellow baseball legend Babe Ruth and his wife Claire visited Eleanor, Lou's wife, following Lou's death, and the whole city mourned with the flags of New York at half-mast. Lou Gehrig was beloved. ALS became known as Lou Gehrig's disease in honor of his fight against the disease. Lou represented a humble resilience. He showed great strength when he was physically weak and gratitude when he had every reason to be ungrateful. I am personally grateful for such people like Lou Gehrig, who chose to accept his hardships, but continued to live and lead by example. I hope you found Lou's story as inspiring as I do. Have a wonderful day, MacLaren.